7:06, and I will call this meeting to order. I want to let everybody know who didn't happen to notice all the cameras on the way in, that this meeting is being recorded and will be aired on local access TV and whatever else these people are doing in the back. So I'd like to welcome you all tonight. I have a brief chair's report, and tonight I would like to just once again express my deepest sorrow for the acts of hatred that have taken place in our town over the past week. And I will tell you that was a low point of my chairmanship on the school committee by far. I will tell you that I felt the vigil that was held the other night in support of our students and his family and in support of tolerance and unity was a remarkable outpouring from this community, and it made me proud again to be part of this community. So thank you. What we're going to do tonight, we do have an agenda. We're going to go through a little bit of business. We will come up to public comment very shortly. I'll set the ground rules at that point, and we'll move forward. Okay, so we have some minutes on the table. Did you guys have a chance to look at the minutes? Any changes that you see? Okay, so the minutes are approved. We do have warrants on the table. I think they've been signed. Any questions on the warrants? Line item transfers, Mrs. Collins?
No line item transfers tonight.
Okay. And the superintendent's report?
Yes, I just want to make everybody aware that in order to be transparent around the various investigations that are going on and to provide you with the status of those investigations, I will be releasing tomorrow a written statement outlining where each of these matters stand. That statement will be posted at the website and released to any interested news organizations. The purpose of that document will be to answer questions people have about these incidents, when they occurred, when the school administration was made aware of them, and what actions we took and are taking. Thank you.
Would you like to comment on the MSBA meeting from today?
I'll let you start.
Okay. Okay, we'll defer that to the MSB School Building Committee meeting report. That's what I was thinking.
Thank you very much. We met with the Massachusetts School Building Authority today, and the Board of Directors unanimously approved our proposal for a new middle high school, and are committing $36.1 million towards that. The next step will be, of course, we will seek approval through a town meeting and a ballot vote for the borrowing for the remaining funds required to complete the project. This has been a long time coming. This building has done us well for many, many years, but the systems are past their useful life, and the cost of just doing repairs after repairs. This will solve a number of problems because it will get us to 3 viable schools, and we're very, very happy that the MSBA supports us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mackin. Next on the agenda is our students' report. Would you like to give a report? You don't have to, it's up to you. But
From 2:30 to 2:30 after school day, Cards for Soldiers was held where holiday cards were signed and will be sent overseas and received for servicemen or women to get for the holidays to come around. A petition will be going around homeroom during homeroom tomorrow asking students not to use derogatory and hurt language. And this Friday, November 22nd, Car Cup will be taking place on the turf. Teachers versus student government, 6 to 7, and juniors versus seniors, 7 to 8.
thank you very much. So we're up to public comment. Before we get into the public comment, I'll make a couple of comments myself that are educational in nature, just to help people understand we're the authority, because I'm sure that everybody wants to talk about the football game tonight. The authority for decisions related to the football game resides with the school committee. When the school committee is not in session, the superintendent acts as our agent. And so the superintendent, with my personal full support, made a decision to cancel the Thanksgiving football game. However, the school committee does have the authority to overrule that decision should we choose to do so. The selectmen, as Mr. Alonso, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, last night pointed out, do not have a role in this. We always appreciate their input, just like the input of any other citizens, but the operations of the school are the purview under Chapter 70 of the school committee. Okay? So a few guidelines tonight for the public comment. Anybody who wishes to speak, I'd like you to raise your hand and I'll recognize you. Once you're recognized, if you could come down to the podium here, over to my left, your right. When you get there, please state your name and address. Depending on how many people choose to speak tonight, we may need to impose a time limit. If we need to do that, I will do so as we move forward. My goal tonight is to listen to opinions. So I'm hoping we can have, as we always do, a respectful, open communication exchange here tonight. And so I'm looking forward to the feedback that we're about to receive. So is there any public comment from the board before we move to the public? Okay. So who in the audience would like to speak?
Steve Potter, Winter Hill Road, Lunenburg, Mass. We're all here tonight to support our kids. In the end, that's what it's all about. When I heard the news Friday night, it took me by surprise. I've coached Isaac in football, lacrosse, and have always enjoyed coaching him. I can't imagine how he feels. It could be one. I can't imagine how he feels knowing it could be one of the teammates who had done this to him. If you know Isaac's parents, if you don't know Isaac's parents and you hadn't met them, if you hadn't met them yet and you had to meet them through media, then you don't know them. Andrea was my team mom last year and always volunteered for the Bengals football and cheering. Her grandfather was Newt Brazier, who volunteered his time for the Lunenburg football program for many years. If you played football while Newt was around, then he was there in the weight room helping you get faster and stronger for that next season. The weight room is currently named after him and Herbie Hill. Anthony Isaac's dad is a coach for the Lunenburg Bengals second, third grade team. He has been involved with the kids in the program for many years. They're a good family who cares about their kids and ours. They have been put in a tough situation that they don't want to have to deal with. Anthony, being a football coach, knows what it means to the kids, especially the seniors, to play this game. But he can't help but think if this is a player and is allowed to play this game, then he has won. I understand, but I also want Isaac and his family to know that the town and your team is here and we want you back as a Knight. I truly feel if Isaac doesn't come back to Lunenburg and rejoin his team, then whoever has done this has won. Isaac, let's not let them win. The Thanksgiving Day game is a memory that you can't replace as a football player. Whether you started playing football when you were 6 years old or 16 years old, it is the last football game you will play as a Knight. To some, that might not mean much, but for kids who have dreamed of this since they were young and have worked tirelessly during the season and off-season, it's everything. By letting one small misguided voice speak for a town seems to me like we are giving up, and that is not what these kids have been coached or taught. The football team isn't the only one that will be affected by this decision. Lunenburg has a great group of cheerleaders and a band that is second to none. Those seniors won't get their Thanksgiving Day moment either. The student body, past, present, and future, who want to go support their football team and the parents, some who have sat through many cold, rainy games for many years, won't get their last chance to cheer on their son or daughter in their last game. If this game is canceled, then that moment has come and gone, and they didn't get to cherish it the way they should have. I want to ask that you reconsider your decision. Isaac, we are here with you. We want you back on your team and with your classmates. There's nothing more we would like to see than Isaac with his team playing this Wednesday night. I truly believe if we can make this happen as a town, we can start to erase the hatred that has gone on and changed all our lives. Lunenburg is a great town and has a history of standing behind one another and supporting each other. Let's not make this situation any different. Thank you.
be a pause to a minimum, we'll get through this more quickly. Is there someone else who would like to speak to me?
Yes, I would.
I'm sorry, Diana? Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Flaherty. I live on Cantoria Drive. I graduated in 2011, and I'm soon going to be returning to Brown University. I'm sorry to name drop you. I know you must be getting a lot of unwanted attention right now, but the Blue Knights need you, and Lunenburg High School needs you, as we need anyone who is willing to speak plainly and speak up against what is wrong. I live in Rhode Island right now, and I drove 2 hours to talk tonight because I feel this is very important. When I heard Lunenburg on the news, I wasn't expecting anything good. Last time we made national news, the town was frozen and without power. But when I learned about the racist graffiti spray painted on a home in Lunenburg, I was horrified, as I'm sure most of you were, if not all. As someone who grew up here, I love Lunenburg and its traditions. I love this school. I love the people in it. I've seen and felt the love and support that this place has to offer, but I've also witnessed insensitivity, exclusivity, and hatred. As horrified as I am to see hateful, racist words spread across the home of one of our own, unfortunately, I can't say I'm surprised, nor would many others who walk the halls of Lunenburg High School. Because as shocking as it is to see hate speech in bright Lunenburg blue graffiti, hatred is not only present when it's out in the open. I've heard the N-word spoken by many of my peers. I've heard faggot shouted down the halls. I've heard the disdain in people's voices as they talk about the neighboring ghettos. But we've been taught to see racism only in individual acts of meanness, not in invisible systems of dominance and privilege. While I did not always feel accepted in Lunenburg, I recognize that in some ways I had it easier than some others because I've had the privilege of being white in a town and a greater society where white is the majority, the invisible norm to which any others are measured in contrast. We have been taught tolerance in school. We're all the same on the inside, equality for all. And while these efforts are admirable, they erase some of the distinct realities experienced by minorities in the society. Consequently, many of us have failed to consider the silent, subtle ways in which we may participate in and benefit from this system. It's in this context that a hate crime has taken place. This is a shortcoming in our education that I asked the school committee to address and consider changes to how we teach diversity and oppression in the schools, but maybe that's a conversation for another day. This event serves as a sad wake-up call that racism is not a myth, but a reality, even here in Lunenburg. To view this as simply an isolated incident would be both naive and irresponsible. As loving as we can be, we're a small town, an extremely white town, that can be blind to just how insulated we are from the diverse world outside our borders. But one thing I've learned growing up in Lunenburg is that sometimes being part of the community means taking on responsibilities we might not want, because it's the right thing to do. This may have been the immature, hurtful act of one or two screwballs, but this hateful act represents the Blue Knights. It represents the high school and this town, whether we like it or not. Because as frustrating as it is to believe, some of our own are guilty here. Our first instinct is to distance ourselves from the guilty. It's easy to ask, who would do such a thing, and how could this happen here? But it's harder to stop and reflect and ask, how could I be complicit in creating an environment in which this could happen? But that's our job now, and have no doubt, if we play football on Wednesday, before justice has been reached, we are all complicit. How we respond to this blatant racism is a matter of how we want to define ourselves as a school and a community. I understand the disappointment and frustration many students are feeling right now. My older brother played on the football team, I have family friends on the team now, and my younger brother and many friends were so looking forward to supporting the team as part of the marching band. I was on the marching band myself, and I know how much it means. But to go out there on Wednesday and cheer on our Blue Knights at this time, under these circumstances, would be an insult to Isaac and his family. The candlelight vigil may have been a touching show of our support for Isaac and a chance for some of our students, faculty, and townspeople to voice a stand against racism, but it's not enough. We can't wipe our hands clean of this so simply. If it takes the pressure of the whole school community to bring justice to whoever did this and to begin a dialogue about the conditions in this environment that have allowed an act like this to happen in the first place, then that's what we need to do as a town and as a team. Instead of complaining about unjust punishment of the masses, we ought to be standing together to say, we will not tolerate this. We want to fix this. We need to own this as a community. Even our most seemingly innocuous actions have the power to hurt. Whatever their efforts behind the scenes, the public silence of the Blue Knights coaches, their failure to speak up for and speak with Isaac, has sent an unfortunate message that they do not have his back, that they are not fighting for him. I have faith that this is not the case, having grown up here and knowing these people. I have faith that that is not the message they intended, but it is the message they sent nonetheless. From leaders and representatives of the Blue Knights, such silence in this matter is troubling, especially considering recent racist events that have come to light. We must all now be aware of the message we are sending moving forward. While I'm glad this has sparked a dialogue, I worry we're steering the conversation in the wrong direction. It should not be a question of who is being punished, a question of innocent until proven guilty. It should be a question of the message we as a school community want to send now, a question of the respect, dignity, and empathy that we owe to those in our town who have been deeply hurt. It's a question of the safety of our students. Right now, we have a choice to stand by them in solidarity or to put our interests, the interests of a sports team, first, while they are wrong. To me, that seems like an easy choice. It's uncomfortable, it's frustrating, and it feels unfair. But this is more important than sports, and this is more important than our own comfort. It may seem noble to argue that if we don't go out there and play together, we're letting the racists win, but it is not the interests of the team and the white majority of this school that have been attacked. If we cheer on the Knights on Wednesday before an explanation has been found and justice has been enacted, we will be turning our backs on members of this community who have been made to feel less than human. If we cheer on the Knights on Wednesday, we will be tacitly admitting that we are willing to turn a blind eye to racism. Last time we made national news, during the ice storm, I was touched by the kindness in this town as we joined together to keep each other warm and fed. We have to join together in kindness again, as a community, to stand up for Isaac and his family and anyone else targeted by the hatred in that message. As difficult and uncomfortable as it might feel, the small sacrifice of this punishment is not comparable to the dehumanizing effects of racism. The only appropriate decision is to cancel the game until the graffiti, the bullying, and other incidents of racism committed by any members of the Blue Knights have been investigated fully and dealt with appropriately. To do otherwise would be wrong and neglectful of our responsibilities as a town. To go out and play on Wednesday, win or lose, would be to do so with our integrity in question. Because if the Knights go out there on Wednesday, it is not as a team, so long as one of our own does not feel welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for reminding me. I intended during my chair's statement to, while the crowd is here, let everyone know that later on this evening I will be asking the school committee to form an advisory group, including members of the community and the school community, to explore what the source of any racism is that may exist in our school, and to help us figure out how to appropriately deal with that and improve the way that we educate our students, so that we can improve the tolerance and dignity of all of our students. So we will be getting to that later on tonight, and if there's anyone in the audience who'd like to volunteer to sit on that committee, I'm sure once we've discussed it and if we vote on it, there'll be some openings available.
Along those lines, I also want to update everyone that we have already begun the work of moving towards some restorative justice and tackling this educational project that's before us. We're looking for a transformation. We're looking for a transformation of our culture and beginning to work with the discussion and dialogue with students, with faculty and parents and community members and community groups. We need to talk about how we move forward in building upon the best interests. And I'm pleased to announce that during this past week we've been able to reach out and build some liaisons with several key agencies as well as Fitchburg State University. The Community Development and Civic Engagement Center there at Fitchburg State will be working with us, also the Anti-Defamation League and the U.S. Department of Justice. We're planning an initial coordination meeting next week.
Okay, who'd like to speak next? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Andrew Phillips. A lot of you probably don't know me. You probably met me through the media. I just wanted to address my town and let you guys know, I've been losing sleep over this whole situation. This has affected my family a lot more than you know. My 8-year-old kid was involved in an undefeated season last year. He's sitting at the kitchen table tonight, asking me if he's going to have to leave his school. It sucks for the football team, I get it. It's not everybody, Unfortunately, it is a group of 2, 3 kids. I firmly believe anyone who supports the game being played, all you're doing is condoning that behavior again. You're saying, okay, well, it may not be the football team, we don't know who it is, you know what, but it's obviously a football issue. And like I said, these seniors, you guys that probably don't know who this is, well, hopefully the town can come together instead of standing up here last night and going on you guys' rant, that I was there, I heard it, and I was like, this is how the town feels. I mean, it's 4 days after this whole thing with Isaac. The Thanksgiving game is not till a week later. Everyone cares about the football game. It's like, put the pressure on these cowards, whoever it is, to step forward, stand together as a town, and, there won't be no football until anyone steps forward. And I'm sorry, I don't know what everyone heard from the media, but I firmly believe if you play, you're setting a, they're basically saying that it's okay, and for everyone who this doesn't affect, I'm sorry, but I mean, we're all looking for answers. I mean, my family, my kid doesn't want to go to the school anymore. I mean, the ties he has to the school, and we've been keeping him home all week trying to tell him it's not the case, and every day he's telling me he doesn't want to go, I was shocked on some of the comments that I heard last night, I felt coming here to live in Lunenburg that we were a close town, and when something like this, would have happened, that we would stay, this close group. And again, for the team members that this doesn't affect, I'm sorry. I do firmly believe You know, if this game goes on, you're just sending a message. Whoever this kid is probably what he's waiting for. He's probably waiting for this decision tonight. He's listening to his parents and how they feel about this whole situation. You know what? Make the team suffer. Maybe the cow will step forward. That's all I gotta say.
Hi, my name is Rose Britt, 60 Cozy Ave. That just broke my heart. I gotta tell you, it broke my heart. Met Mr. Phillips tonight. I'm disgusted with this. I watched the selectmen's meeting last night. I just can't get over the mentality that you would think that a game should be played after something like this occurred. Let's take out of the equation what happened to these poor people's house. My question goes back to the Worcester games. And why, after something like that happened, the game was called, those kids get on that bus, why didn't that coach get on that bus right then and there and say, your season's over, right then and there? Why did it even get to this? Maybe we'll find out tomorrow when your report comes out, I don't know. But it seems to me, had that been addressed, maybe this wouldn't happen today. Another concern I have is, I've been reading all the comments. I feel like I'm obsessed with it. And if anybody knows me, you know, this isn't me to get up here. But people are saying the same thing. Parents and students are saying, this happened to my kid over the years. This has happened to me over the years. And the same thing keeps coming out. People feel like the Lunenburg schools do not address issues. You can try to teach these kids from, I don't know, all these programs you can put into the school to try to teach them to be more, kinder to each other. My mother used to say, if by that age they haven't learned right from wrong, you've lost it. They know. You need to teach your teachers, the administrators, how to deal with these problems. Don't keep other parents in the town in the dark about what's going on in your school. I put 2 kids through this school. They come home and tell me things and I'd be like, what do you mean these things are going on? We know as parents don't hear about them. That's wrong. You need to have your teachers, your coaches, step up and do the right thing. Those coaches should have stopped it at Worcester. But no, this family had to endure this because they did not do the right thing. This game should not go on. Absolutely not. If you change your minds, that is so wrong. So wrong. Thank you.
My name is Deborah Truax. I'm Coach Truax. My son Kyle was on the team as well. And we've been sick to our stomachs since this has happened. As you know, my husband grew up in this town. And he is not white. His parents are from Okinawa. If he knew that there was any racial issue on the team whatsoever, he would have taken care of it. He did his steps, what he needed to do as a coach. He loves his kids. He loves his students. And this isn't just about the football team. This is about the school. This is about the seniors having their Thanksgiving Day. We feel sorry that that happened. I can't believe that it actually happened at home. We live in Leominster. And there's a lot of diversity in Leominster. Kyle's known about diversity since preschool because they teach it at that young age. Most of Kyle's kids in Leominster are not white. So to blame this all on the coaches is wrong. This is not the coaches' fault. It's because maybe there were 1 or 2 kids that are bad, but maybe it's not even a kid on the team. to stop a Thanksgiving game that the seniors are looking for, from the band, the football, the cheerleaders, and all the parents and the alumni. It's wrong. You know?
How's everybody doing? My name's Andrew Sanders. I graduated from Lunenburg High School this year, 2013. I'm a little nervous to be up here because first off, I'd like to apologize to the Phillips family for the things that happened. You know, me being here in school here for 4 years, I didn't grow up in Lunenburg. I came over from Leominster. Me being here in Lunenburg 4 years, I mean, it's been hard, but I'm not going to say that all of it's been hard. Lunenburg's a close community. It's a lot different than Leominster. It's much smaller. So when you feel the love from the community, it really touches you. I played on the football team last year. Those guys out there, those are like my brothers. I fought with them every play, every moment. I loved every moment of it. And the coaches, there's not a coach that, those coaches did everything for me. I don't think I would have graduated high school without Coach Strex. That's honest. He taught me how to work. He taught me in class. I don't think I would ever make it if it wasn't for Coach Strex. So I thank him for all he's done for me. These kids should play this Thanksgiving game. The last week and a half in Lunenburg hasn't been normal. You know, but the most normal thing I looked forward to was this Thanksgiving game. I looked at this Thanksgiving game as a game where everybody in Lunenburg could come together with one goal in mind, to beat St. Bernard's. Like I said, those football players out there, they deserve these games. These seniors, they deserve this game. They got to sit there and watch me play in that senior game. And I'm telling you, there's no better feeling than playing on Thanksgiving Day. There's no greater feeling than to walk off the field and have parents and other students come up to you and say, hey, good game. You did great out there. I saw that one tackle you had. It would be wrong for you guys to strip these seniors of all their hard work. 4 years. Most of these seniors have been on this team for 4 years. I joined my senior year. But they put in the work for 4 years, and a lot of them just look forward to playing this one game. I think these seniors should play this game. I think this football team should play this game. I don't condone what happened to Isaac at all. Quite frankly, I wish I was in that locker room to be there to help him out, because I was there last year. I wish I was there this year to help him out. I wouldn't condone anything like this to happen. Do I believe it was my brothers that were fighting with me out there at the play? No, not for a moment. Would it shock me if it was? Yeah, it would. But these seniors should play this game. And that's all I have to say.
My name is George Hudson. I've lived in this town most of my entire life. I have put 4 children through the school system, and my extended family has put close to 29 children through the school system. I take great pride in this school and how our children were treated and raised and in what they've accomplished. Most of them have gone on to college and are successful. So I take great pride in the school. I think this was a terrible act on the part of some people. But I also think that when you rush to judgment and punish a large group of individuals by the actions of a few small individuals, you are doing a disservice to those individuals. As in the team of some 50 students who cannot all necessarily be responsible for this act. If it was, it would be almost a virtual possibility. I want to bring out a very important factor about what the football team means to the athletes, means to the students, and means to the parents. It probably hasn't been. By the way, Isaac, I fully support you. I was at the vigil last night. But I do want to talk to a slightly different subject. I have watched my son, who is currently on this football team, go up a full letter grade in academics because he was pushed to do better by being on the team. The team spirit has driven students to do better and be better. I have watched the other students react with him. I have seen my son, who is also on the track team, and other members of the track team sit down and huddle in the corner and study to get better grades because of the way the team spirit motivated them. And when you punish a team for the fact, you are taking away a lot of what that spirit is intended to do, which is to motivate the team to do better in life and be good citizens. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jeff Kerr from Shirley, Massachusetts, and I'm a senior here at Lunenburg High School. This is my first year ever playing football. I joined the team because I made a decision that I did not want to regret anything my senior year. The only thing I regret is not playing my whole life. The boys you see wearing the white and blue jerseys, they are my family. I have fought with them for about 15 weeks, and we have fought so hard to get to the point where we are at. Same with the band members and same with the cheerleaders. The media is vilifying my family, and due to the fact that our game is canceled, you are making us seem exactly like what the media has already portrayed us as. By canceling the biggest game of the season, it makes it look as if the whole team is at fault here. I understand all of you are under an extreme amount of pressure to make the correct decision, but I respectfully disagree with the decision you have chosen. With all the facts about this horrendous crime that have been presented, it is A, unfair to presume a football player did this, and B, unfair to take away our last week of the season. A point last night was made that in this country, which we pledge our allegiance to, under the Fifth Amendment, we are innocent until proven guilty. I understand that painting this racial slur on Isaac's house is an injustice, but it is also an injustice to paint the whole Lunenburg football team as guilty when nothing clearly states we are at fault. How does adding one injustice to this horrible situation address the first one? Our coaches, since the beginning of this season, preached to us to be united as a team. Whoever committed this crime on Isaac has also committed a crime on this team. We have been a family since day one. I have never been more proud to say that I am a Lunenburg Blue Knight. Thank you.
My name is Pete Stella, and I grew up in this town. I was born in this town. My family was born in this town. My grandfather came over on a boat from Sicily from the turn of the century, the last century. He raised 16 kids, and I'm sure that they saw a lot of dislike because of the fact they were Italian. I even remember kids calling me things, when we were really young. It was still kind of prevalent back then. But then that kind of subsided, and kids jive at you as you grow up and you get a little older. And every now and then somebody says something nasty. One time a kid was, we were in high school, or we must have been in high school. And this kid who was on the football team, he was about this tall. And he said to me, he says, he used the word homosexual, I think back, and of course I'm not homosexual. It doesn't matter if I was, but. And then he said something about, you like to do this with your dad and do that with your dad, which is complete bullshit. Yeah, sorry about that. point is, he was just doing something to get at my goat. And so I said to him, well, do you think that's the way it is, and what I'll see you after school? And I met him over here between Passios and Lunenburg High School. And we had it out, we had a little fight, and he got the best of me because he was a lot heavier than I was. It's like 30 years later, the guys we have a business relationship. We grew up, and that's it, as far as that goes. After I graduated from high school, I left this little, tiny town, and I remember being in boot camp, and a kid coming up to me in the Navy, and he said to me, he said, "Calm down, homeboy," and I looked at him and I said, what the F does homeboy mean? Because I came from Lunenburg High School, and we didn't have very many black kids. We had a kid, Randy Thomas, that used to listen to Led Zeppelin with his T-tops off when he left the school basketball. So, I certainly didn't hate anybody because they were black. I didn't know how to really hate somebody because of the color of their skin. I graduated boot camp and I went to my A school in Memphis, Tennessee. And me and a friend, we decided we were going to go down to Memphis the last weekend there. He was in ordnance and I was in structural mechanics. And we went down to Memphis to have a good time. We went to a couple places to eat and a nap. And then we went to Beale Street on Friday night, I guess, because Saturday night we went somewhere else. But Friday night we went to Beale Street. Beale Street's like this big
I'm sorry, sir, can we...
So the point is, about 2 o'clock in the morning, we came out of the bars on Beale Street, the only 2 white guys on the street, and this black guy, way up, we heard somebody yelling. This guy was going to kick our ass. Luckily, and at the curb, there was a crowd of people around there, 2 other black guys pulled up in a car and gave us a ride out and saved our asses. Probably didn't get killed. I run into racists all over this country, and this little canceling these guys' opportunity to play is not going to do a damn thing. It's just going to deprive these guys of a very important part of their high school experience. And I feel sorry that, the things happened to Isaac, but I think that Isaac needs to really consider is going to Leominster High School going to do him a damn bit of good, because I'll guarantee you there are probably twice as many racists over there as there are here.
Okay, thank you very much.
My name's Dan Doherty. I live at 10 Harbor Terrace. A unique perspective of this. I've been a student here at Lunenburg High School, had an incredibly positive time here. My teachers encouraged me to go on to college. From there, I went to Philadelphia and said I wanted to be a teacher. I've worked here at Lunenburg High School. I'm a substitute teacher, but I've also worked in other communities. I've worked in Philadelphia, worked at Simon Gratz High School, very rough high school to be at. Worked at Creative and Performing Arts High School. I've worked in Gardner. I've worked all over different schools. And I'm currently a history teacher and a freshman soccer coach at Westford Academy. I can honestly say that as a teacher in all of these venues, I've heard students use language that is not, certainly not to be approved of. That being said, I think this is a time that you teach kids the proper way to respond. I do not believe that canceling the game is the correct punishment. I don't believe it's the correct punishment because you're singling out many students, and I can vouch that all these students, they're good guys, they're good ladies. But again, it's not the correct move. Ultimately, this is not a Lunenburg issue. It is an issue that I see every day in the hallways of my school now. It's issues that I've seen in Gardner. It's issues that I've seen in Philadelphia. It's not unique to Lunenburg. And ultimately, I think that there's a better way to go about this. And it's certainly not singling out the football team or the Blue Knight community. I think there's to go forward, teach about diversity and acceptance, but it's not to cancel the football game and certainly not to punish the football team as a whole for the actions of the field. So, thank you.
want to say, I'm so sorry for what happened to Isaac. Nobody should experience what you guys are experiencing right now. Totally, it's just awful. All right. The next thing I want to say is I'm just tired. Tired of watching the community divide. All right. This community used to be close. Now we're separate. Now we're separate. Why can't we just somehow band together, come together as one, like we used to be, of a nice, good old town. I grew up in this town. This is how it used to be. None of this. None of this. We're all turning against each other right now. How do we bring ourselves back into one single community? Isn't through this division. All right? If we do not have this football game, we will always have this division based on this football game. All right? It starts down. We're in a hole. We're at the bottom of the hole. We work our way out of that hole. All right? First off, we find out who did that. It doesn't mean canceling a football game. I will go on my hands and knees so we play this football game. If you haven't played in that seniors St. Bernard's game, you will never understand. Some of these seniors will never understand. I will remember that game the rest of my life. I spilled my heart and soul in this program, this team, and this community. You take that away from us, you're never going to get it back, ever. You're going to lose great members of your community forever. And this community is based on great members. I just want you guys to think about that. We need this football game.
I've gone through the Lunenburg school system and I'm currently a junior at this school. I'm heavily involved in athletics and I'm proud to call myself a Blue Knight. We were all upset and deeply saddened regarding the act of vandalism on the 8th grader's home. I can't imagine how difficult it must be for Isaac and his family. I'm not here to discuss the nature of the crime, but the nature of the punishment. As I and all my classmates understand, you don't know who actually committed this crime, so it seems rather unfair to cancel the Knights' Thanksgiving game. No, I'm not part of that team, but I'm a Knight. And anyone who goes to Lunenburg High School, anyone who plays a sport here is my family. And by that person or persons writing the word Knights on the village house, they might as well have written every one of our names on it. I'm deeply offended, as I'm sure all the football players are feeling the same, but it's simply not right to take this game away from them. They have worked for months on end for this game, the chance to face their longtime rivals on their home field for the last time, with their captains and their seniors who will never wear this uniform again. And they'll be left with the negative memory of an unfinished season because of someone else's act of hate. I play soccer here at LHS, so why aren't we being punished? Will the basketball teams be punished? Or the track and baseball teams? If one person, on or off the team, in or out of this school, breaks the rules or does something bad, will there be no sports or extra activities for all of us? I'm asking you, as a resident, a student, and most importantly a Blue Knight, to let these boys play on Thanksgiving Eve. By not letting this team play, you're punishing many innocent people. The football team, the band, the cheerleaders, and all their families, not to mention the St. Bernard's teams whose seniors won't be able to face their longtime rivals for one more time. Countless numbers of spectators and Lunenburg alumni who have been part of this tradition for years will be punished because of one or two people they might not have even heard about. The coaches' names have been tarnished, and so has our schools. These coaches are amazing people, and they've put their heart into everything they do for us. This is a time for unity. If this is a time for unity, then why are we canceling something that unites us? I'm asking you to reconsider your decision and to let the Blue Knights play their final game. Thank you.
football, and I play field hockey. One thing I've learned from field hockey is that we're a team. And a team fights for each other. We lose with each other, we win with each other. Most of all, we fight for each other. And honestly, what I've heard from this football team, they don't. I do feel bad for the seniors who won't get to play their Thanksgiving game, but what happened with Isaac, it was a hate crime. It wasn't anything small, nothing. You know, if you look around in this town, most of us are all white. We will never face anything that some of these other people go through. So I really want everyone to think and try and put themselves in Isaac and his family's shoes and try and realize what they're going through and the words that are said to them. We don't have words that can describe us in mean ways, and if we do, I have no idea what they are. There are so many words that describe other diversities, and I want you guys to think about all of them. And just think about what this thing is going through. Thank you.
I'm sorry, man, I recognize this skin.
Hello, my name is Evan Blair. I live at 88 Gilchrist Street, Lunenburg. And I just want to say, Isaac, if you are watching this or listening to this at home, I want you to hear this directly from me. I'm sorry for what has happened to you and your family. No one deserves anything like this to happen. I want you to know that your team is here for you and that we miss you and we want you back. You may have been a new member of this family, but you are irreplaceable. If we do get to play this game, I'm asking you to come because you're family. Our family is not complete without every member. My words would go to waste if the presence of everyone in this room and their words did not persuade you to let us play this game together as a family for one last time. All this being said, I've always wanted to be a football star. I've worked hard at it since day one when I first put my pads on, as did every teammate in this room that I call my brothers. But now I'm being stripped of my love and my passion because of an assumption. I don't know much, but I do know one thing, and that is you are innocent until proven guilty. I would like to move to the vigil. It wasn't what I expected it to be. I got home after attending and I turned on the news, and I was shocked to see that we are all being depicted as monsters. At first I was frightened to wear my Knight's apparel out because I knew that a lot of people watch the news and they might not know the actual facts. So I tested it out, and I was shocked to find out that I was not greeted with the same usual smile, but with disgusted glares, and I was viewed as some sort of criminal because of what people are being told, and that is that we are somehow guilty. Not letting us play our last game makes the rest of the world outside of Lunenburg assume that we are guilty. It makes them assume that someone that wears that white and that blue is guilty of something. I would also like you to know a couple of facts that I feel have been not told. When Isaac's shoes were filled with water and thrown in the trash, a teammate of his, a captain, gave him his cleats that he could wear. And I would also like you to know that the coaches that are being talked about, one of them helped me get through this educative system. He helped me learn math, and that's all I have to say.
Mass Avenue. I have two boys on the team, junior and senior. And what I really wanted to say tonight was that when you call Lunenburg High School and it goes to the answering machine, it says, Mrs. Sozik's voice says, you've reached Lunenburg High School, the home of the Blue Knights. It doesn't say the home of the Blue Knights football team. It says the home of the Blue Knights. It's a community, the Blue Knights, you know? It's the whole school system that makes up the Blue Knights, not just football. So, anyone could have done this. Anyone in the school system, anyone outside of the school system, anyone. So to take and punish these boys and girls and band members, you know, for this hateful, hateful crime. And I too feel terrible for this family and for Isaac for having to go through this. It's just terrible, terrible tragedy. But, you know, to let this affect, you know, this game doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me to cancel a game that's a tradition for these kids. You know, have it at the Bernardian Bowl if it's a safety issue here. You know, you're spoiling it for them as well. You know, like I said, when Mrs. Sozik answers the phone, it's the home of Blue Knights. You know, we can't cancel school. You know, if the investigation isn't done by the time football's over, are we gonna hold off on basketball? Are we gonna, you know, continue on? You know, we've got to take control of our town and our school system. And we can't let one person or one bad apple spoil the bunch of good children to go to this school. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hammer. I live at 304 Lancaster House, and I'm new to Lunenburg. So you should say I don't have any Lunenburg credentials, and I don't have anybody who lived here before me. I don't know anybody but 4 people in town so far, and I've lived here a year and a half. But what I can say is that I'm also a new mom, and I've heard great things about what happens in the school district. I also have not been a football player. Where I grew up, women didn't play football. I played rugby for 14 years until I couldn't play anymore. I was able to play at a representative level. So I know what it means to wear a uniform. And I know what it means to work really hard. And I know what it means to represent a group. And I don't know what happened with the family. I was out of town when it happened. I heard about the vigil when I came back. But I also did hear very disturbing things about what happened in Worcester. And I haven't heard any of the football players speak to that. And that's really disconcerting to me. So I don't think that a whole group of people should be punished for a set of circumstances which no one knows if the football team, anybody on the football team did that or not. But we do know there were some disturbing incidents in Worcester. And I will say, I don't know what happened. And I was hoping to come here tonight and hear more about what has gone on to address that in the district. And I'm disappointed that I'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out because I'm still left wondering what went on. But I've also been in the marching band. And I know what it's like to not be able to do your football competition. But I know that as a lifelong athlete, I would be truly disappointed to set foot on the field with someone who made disparaging remarks. And I think you really need to look hard at yourself and think about what it is you want the community to remember about this team. Whether you went for this one last final hurrah where you could be out on the field with all of your friends, meanwhile leaving somebody who is severely victimized behind. I know you've invited them along, and I applaud you for that, but you still need to address what happened.
My name is Nicole Hennessy. I'm currently a junior at Lunenburg High School. I, as well as everyone in Lunenburg, have truly been disgusted in recent events that took place. No human being should ever be treated that way. This is a horrendous crime that should have never been committed. However, this town is taking it all out on football players, and I do not believe that's fair. These boys are being punished because of a select few disgusting, twisted people that did a horrible action. It is not the whole team, so I punish them by not allowing them to play in their last few games. Thanksgiving is one of the biggest games in the season. It could be the seniors' last chance to actually play football ever, and the innocent ones on the team don't deserve that. They practice so much and they have given so much effort, and it's unreasonable. It does not just affect the football players. It affects the band and it affects the cheerleaders. What about those seniors that did nothing wrong at all and are not allowed to play in their last game? I know there are 10 seniors in the band and 1 senior in the cheerleaders who will not be able to play in this game. What about all those kids in general who practice their music and their routine so hard and won't get a chance to show it because of a select few students? That is wrong. Not only does it affect Lunenburg students, but it affects the St. Bernard's football team. None of those players did anything wrong. And now their biggest game of the year is being taken away as well. Although I do believe the boys should be able to play their games, I would like to point out that possibly people's focus on the situation may be a little off. I don't want this town to forget the big picture. The big picture is that one of our students has been severely bullied because of the color of his skin. That is not right in any circumstances. No one deserves that. I agree the boys should play, but I want everyone to understand that this crime is a huge deal, and the person doing it should receive incredible consequences. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Have a good night.
Hands of how many people are in the room that would like to speak? 4. I think we're down to 4, maybe 5. Mrs. McCall, would you like to speak?
Good evening, Peter McCall, 610 West Street, and I'm the Lucky Athletic Director here at Lunenburg High School. I know everything that's been said tonight, and I find myself agreeing with almost everyone who's come up here. And in discussions this past week, since this incident occurred, and for the previous 2 weeks, with the incidents that we had involving Worcester South High School, has been the most difficult period of time in the 9 years that I have been the athletic director here at Lunenburg High School. I wish the school committee wisdom of Solomon in figuring this out. But separating the emotional part from it for me and separating my relationship with the football team, the parents, the players, the faculty, the administration in this community, in trying to figure out the right thing to do, I don't know what that is. But my 2 cents worth in this is what I gave to the superintendent and what I discussed today with other athletic directors and with people at the MIA when I went there today. I asked them in this situation, and I thought about this long and hard, if we host this game, how in the world will we do it? I looked at the insanity that took place in the time since this event occurred, and I wonder what it would be like here next Wednesday night. The Thanksgiving game, I will tell you, is the most difficult game to manage that I face all year. It's a simple fact. Thanksgiving Eve is a time when everyone comes home. Thanksgiving Eve is a time when people go out early and enjoy a bit of alcohol, and then they go out to the games. There are not many games played on Thanksgiving Eve. Ours is one of them. That adds to the difficulty of maintaining control of the usual crowd that comes to games, and we have larger number of problems at our Thanksgiving game than we do throughout the rest of the year. We have a fierce rivalry with St. Bernard's. There's no question about that. We have more problems in that game because of the nature of the game than we do in other games during the year. We add to it the addition of the media that is absolutely certain to come to watch the show. We add to it the people from outside of Lunenburg and St. Bernard's that are gonna come, and I have no way of estimating how many people will be here or how we will deal with it. Those were the concerns I had, that as athletic director, I can host an event and safely get, within reason, the people who want to come, the players, the officials, and everyone else who will attend the game. Those were the concerns I addressed with the superintendent prior to the decision. And I see with this issue unresolved, I don't know where we would go from there. Those were the concerns I had, and with both sides, the Phillips families and others who are opposed to the game, and I hear them, and I'm sensitive to that, and I can agree with them. As athletic director, who's been involved with these boys this year since August, it tears me in the other direction on trying to find a way to give them that opportunity that they have earned, and that they have demonstrated incredible self-control, and I'm so proud of the way they have acted since this event occurred. I couldn't have asked them to demonstrate any more maturity or sensitivity on this issue, and I thank them for that. But the challenge here is for the adults to look at this issue and come to a resolution. I do not believe we are going to all agree on this. Okay? But my concerns are there are generally the safety of this event, and it comes up. And if that issue can be resolved, then I think the other issues that follow are even more difficult. But to me, that was the fundamental question when I separated the practical from the emotional and everything else. It still left me with not just a problem of do we play the game or do we not play the game. In my mind, it is how do we play the game. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brigette Williams, 320 West Street in Lunenburg. And first I wanted to convey how sorry I am to the family, Mr. and Mrs. Phillips, to Isaac. Being a minority in Lunenburg all my life, I've been here my whole life. It's not what the people from the outside looking in think it is. It's a great community. It's small, yeah, but it's nice. Everyone here is like my family. You know, I've been here my whole life, lifelong friends. You know, they all mean well. I haven't really got any racist remarks or anything like that. And what happened to Isaac is sad. It made me, wonder, like, why would anybody do that? That's that kind of stuff that happened in the 60s. We moved past from that. We're in 2013, going to 2014. We all know that. We all know that as a community. Lunenburg, we're really behind each other with everything that we do. And what happened to Isaac is sad. We all know it as a community, as a school, as Knights. We all know that, and we stand by you, the Phillips family. Definitely, all of us. It's not them. It's really the community versus 212 or whoever did the incident that happened Friday. Like, we all know it's wrong. And I think about the whole football thing. I can understand both sides of it. But, I mean, those kids and those boys, those men, and the jerseys, they're my friends, I talk to them almost every day in school. I know them all, my whole life. And I know that they don't stand by this. I know that they don't feel this, they all know it's wrong. Like, inside, they all know it. They say it. We all know that it's wrong. And taking away the game, I don't know if that's right. I mean, me saying that, I'm not saying that I'm not standing by the Phillips family, because being a minority, I am, like everyone here is. But as an alternate solution, maybe that first step, from everything that happened Friday, everybody's everywhere about everything, everybody's scrambled. Next week, I was thinking we could do a rally, a first step towards something positive. I already presented it to someone on the board and the principal and everything. And it's about acceptance, inclusiveness, anti-racism, anti-bullying. Because if that's what we need, and if that's what people from the outside looking and think we need, if that's what we think we need, everybody needs it, then I think that's something we should do. You know, and all the students, I talk to the students at the school, a lot of them are in to speak about it. A lot of adults are in to speak about it. And I think it would really bring us in tight also from everybody being scrambled. It'll bring the community in. It'll be a community event hosted next week as an alternate solution in canceling the game. You know, because those boys do work really hard. They do. And focus on them, yeah, like a lot of people said, it's their last game. They want to play it. You know? And I think doing this rally next week would really help. You know, I speak at a lot of places. I do this whole preaching of some sort around the country to different schools. I spoke to thousands of kids, and I think speaking here for all the students and me, it would really, it would show everybody from the outside looking in that we are a community, that we stand by what we say. You know, that we don't condone the incident that happened, because they're looking at it that we're racist monsters here. We're not. We know that as a community, and I think we need to show that to the rest of the people watching, because that's what we need. And I think this rally can really do that. Thank you.
My name is John William Sanford. I live on 91 Valley Road in Lunenburg, Massachusetts. I have come to this school system since I was in kindergarten, and I never really played any sports beyond t-ball when I was so I will not quite empathize with the football players, the cheerleaders, the musicians who want to play their final game, probably, which could be for the last time in their entire lives. However, I've also been bullied in other ways. Well, I've never been racially bullied, and I may never be racially bullied at any point in my life. I have had horrible things said to me. When I was in 8th grade, for example, a kid told me 3 months after my mother overdosed on drugs to go follow her into hell. But I would definitely like that kid, or the people, especially the people who did this horrible act of racism, to face justice and get what they deserve. If that kid who did that to me and wronged me and still haunts me to this very day were a part of a group of people, and 50 people, for example, if he was on a football team, for example, I would not want to take away the other 49, which would be, 90% of their ability to have their final game. Not just even the football players, some of the senior cheerleaders and the senior musicians. As a musician myself, if I played my final game, or my final performance rather, and I didn't even know it was my final performance, that would haunt me for the rest of my life, that I didn't even know this was my final performance. So I also ask that we do consider both perspectives. On one hand, people were, targeted in this horrendous act. And on the other hand, as well, we also consider that some people will never play a game that could mean something completely sacred to them, whether it be music, football, or cheerleading, because you're going to be punishing 100 people in a collective punishment, which may not even be for the people who did this. For example, it might not have been someone on the football team, it could have been a soccer player, someone who graduated, someone from another school system even. So to me, it seems very hard to justify punishing everyone for something they may not have committed. They could, and as I believe Jeff Kerr said, people are innocent until they're proven guilty in America. And I know that most of these people here, and I would be completely surprised if any of these people could commit such a horrible act of, hatred. So I just ask that you consider that as well. Thank you.
I'm a student and a captain at Lunenburg High, and I'm just standing before you guys tonight to show you how I feel. There has been a horrific act of racism in this town directed at our teammate Isaac Phillips. And as players, as members of the community, we need to find out who did this to him. This kind of behavior is unwelcome in this town, and it is truly cruel and sad that we are here tonight on behalf of a racial graffiti incident. Friday afternoon on November 15th, I was notified about what had happened to Isaac and his family. And since that moment, my teammates and I have done everything we possibly could to find this criminal. As you know, I'm a senior, and my brother Jay is a junior, and he's my teammate, my starting quarterback. I've been playing with these boys since we were old enough to start playing, and our relationship goes beyond the game of football. The same players that I went to Florida with in the 6th and 7th grade together to compete in a national championship game representing the town of Lunenburg. We won a Super Bowl together, a regional championship together, but I guarantee you this Thanksgiving game will mean more to us than any of that. I can honestly say I have worked and waited my whole life for this Thanksgiving game against St. Bernard's, and even the thought of having to forfeit this game is heartbreaking. This issue is about more than the football game. It is about what's right and wrong, and this is wrong. I don't understand how you can hold a whole team accountable for the actions of one or two criminals, especially when no one knows who did this. One of the selectmen at the meeting last night made it clear that no matter the outcome of the situation, to play or not to play, that this wasn't going to be a punishment. I respectfully disagree with that statement, and I think the exact opposite. If we were not to play against St. Bede's, we would be empowering the person who committed this crime at Isaac's house and punishing the football team severely for no reason at all. Everybody on this team is innocent until proven guilty, and frankly, there is no proof of anything against the football team. If it were found out to be a player on this team, they should be punished. But I don't believe anyone on this team is capable of a crime of that nature. I understand fully the pressure you guys are under as a school committee to make the right decision and please the people of Lunenburg. But the media has twisted the story from the beginning. I'm sure it was never mentioned that when Isaac's cleats were filled with water in the locker room, I offered him extra cleats for that practice, and he practiced that day because of my cleats that I gave him. Or when he needed a practice jersey the following day, I gave him my practice jersey willingly because I had an extra in my locker. We have stood behind Isaac this whole season, and so have the coaches, and to be portrayed as racist is hurtful, and is the farthest thing from the truth. The news also claimed that both the varsity and the JV football games against Worcester South ended in fights. This isn't true. The JV game did end in an argument, and the reason of this is still unknown. We haven't found anything out about it. There was a speculation that our head and assistant coaches weren't present at the vigil, which is another false statement because they walked up to the vigil with us. They were right there with us. Coach Boone and Coach Truex are two of the best people I know, and they have given everything to us players and the whole town of Lunenburg. Ever since I became a Knight, Coach Boone and Coach Truex have preached playing football with class and playing football the right way. It saddens me and my teammates to hear and see the things we have witnessed about our football team and coaches the past few days. I understand fully the pressure you guys are under as a school committee to make the right decision and please the people of Lunenburg. But I don't believe anyone on this team is capable of a crime of that nature. I am I think if you were to reconsider your decision about the Thanksgiving game against St. Bees, you'd be making the right choice. This decision would not only be benefiting our football team and family members, but also our faithful cheerleading squad, members of the marching band, and the entire St. Bees school. This game has been a tradition for so many years, and both teams enjoy the rivalry. There was talk about not wanting to have the game played because of safety reasons, but nobody on my team has done anything to pose a threat to opposing players. I assure you as the team's captain, there is no reason to forfeit the game due to safety reasons. And we all want and deserve to take the field one last time together as a family and a unit. To wrap this up, the decision to forfeit the remaining games of the season has already been made. Everyone here supporting the team has come into this room with the hope of changing your mind, knowing this decision has already been made. We ask the school committee to please reconsider and look at this unique situation with an open mind and consider all the players, families, and members of our town who will be affected by this important decision. As of this very moment, nothing has been found that would make anybody on this team guilty of anything, and we are all innocent until proven guilty. This decision is about more than just a game. It is a memory we will never get back. Please don't let the actions of one or two people determine the outcome of our season. And let's find out who did this for Isaac and his family, our football team, and the town of Bloomingburg. Please let us play. Thank you.
Let's see our last public comment.
My name is Michael Battle. I live on West Street, and I have a daughter that's a senior here. Two points. First, I would have to agree with Coach McAuliffe that this is probably, at this point, if the game was played next week, it would probably be like a circus here with who knows how many people coming, maybe people coming just to start some trouble. And safety really has to be the first issue. The other point I'd like to make is, I don't know what's true and what's not, because obviously investigations are ongoing. If some of the things that the media is reporting happened in Worcester at some of the games, if some of the accusations about hazings were true, I get the sense that it would appear to me that perhaps the coaches or the staff have lost at least temporary control of the team. And when you lose control of your kids as a parent, do a really bad job, the government takes your kids from you. I don't know what happened, I don't know if that's the case, but I probably do support not having the games, primarily for a safety issue, because, you know, this is a tiny little town. I'm from down south, I've lived here for 6 years. I can't imagine that we get this kind of publicity in a small town school down south. It's like there's nothing better for the news media to do than come here and, you know, focus on this, which is unfortunate. That's all I have to say.
Okay, that ends our public comment session. I'm sorry. And this will actually be the last of the public comment. So go ahead.
My name is Peter Holman. I live at 297 Howard Street. I moved to Lunenburg approximately 14 years ago. I have 2 daughters in the school. not going to talk about football games, I'm not going to talk about things like that. I just have one simple message, and that message is to the person or persons who did this. Stop being a coward, come forward, and do the right thing.
There is nothing on the agenda for a vote at this point, but if the committee would like to reconsider the vote, we can do that. So if anyone would like to make a motion to reconsider the vote, we'll discuss it. With no motion, there will be no vote, and the decision will be made.
Yes.
And now we'd like to move on to the school building committee. Stay in the room. I would ask you to please be quiet so we can continue. I will give you 5 minutes and then God bless the Blue Knights! Okay, the rest of the meeting will continue. Mr. Mackin, would you like to give an update on the school building?
We will be meeting again tomorrow night. As again I said earlier, we are thrilled that the MSBA has unanimously approved us to enter into design development, which is the next step towards building our new school. And tomorrow night will be so we will be meeting again tomorrow. The meeting is open to the public. We encourage everyone to attend.
All right, so our next item is new business, Mr. Londa. If you'd like to come up and talk about the maintenance budget for next year.
Good evening. On the maintenance budget, what I intended to try to do is focus on those things I thought reflected changes from the past years, and try to give you a sense of where I think we are collectively with the maintenance budget. So the proposed maintenance budget for FY15 was $644,478, which was an increase of $31,418 from what was budgeted for this year. The biggest increases were going to be for two general areas. One, capital improvement, which is an unfunded area for this year, and natural gas system, which was the biggest increase of $18,500. When I looked at where we were with the FY14 budget, we have $150,000 appropriated in the natural gas system. I think we are probably a little underfunded in that area, and I do have some areas that are probably overfunded, specifically fuel oil and fire safety furniture repair for this year. So there are some funds that I will recommend to get moved into that natural gas system line, try to get closer to $157,000, which is what we expended in FY13.
John, can you remind me, how did this compare with your request for last year? This is like a 5% increase?
That would be about correct. Last year's the FY14 budget was fairly flat compared to the previous year.
Is the cost of gas going up?
I anticipate we'll be in the end of the second year of our contract, so I have to anticipate that will be some increase, and I do believe that the cost of gas will go up. Gas is currently being used also, besides heating, also for electricity production in the U.S. And so there's a higher demand for gas, so I would expect that the price will rise. But we are still, for a good chunk of next year, all the way through till December, on the contract that we signed last year. So we have 2 years locked in, but during this, as we go into the bulk of the heating season, we'll be in a new contract at that point. Okay. I do want to kind of focus on this natural gas for one other reason, and I think it's mostly just from an education perspective of what I'd like you to understand about it. Last year, FY13, we expended $157,000 to heat 4 school buildings. To try to put that into some context, in 2004, when we did the heating project, we converted all the schools over to natural gas from fuel oil. If we were still on fuel oil right now, we would have spent $333,000 last year. So we saved $175,000 simply by the decision to convert to natural gas in 2004. We will have saved somewhere on the order of $1.5 million since the heating renovation took place just in fuel costs. Not to mention, and I really couldn't put a number on this, but not to mention the efficiencies gained by going over to gas condensing boiler technology, which is running at a much higher, probably at 93% efficiency compared to an 83% efficient cast iron boiler. So the project that we undertook in 2004, I'd like to just make the point that we have benefited tremendously from that. And even though we're going to see the MSBA look to pull back some of the costs that they were willing to pay for, this was still a much needed project that is paying large dividends and will continue to pay large dividends all the way through the remainder of the life of this school.
It makes me feel old when I remember that. I think it was a good one. Any questions for Ms. Malone?
The one other item I'd like to just briefly focus on, capital improvement road, which was unfunded this year. We have one item listed in that line We have folding chairs, which is our second priority, and some carriers for those folding chairs. That's the minor part of the cost. The bulk of the cost, $7,500, is for a replacement air compressor for the middle school. That's a critical piece of equipment. It is a projected replacement due to the fact that when this equipment gets inspected every 2 years, they test the tank, the air tank, wall thickness, and when they tested that in September of 2012, they said you have 2 years left, and then you have to replace it. So this is an item that doesn't quite make it to capital level in the town's view, but it is a critical component that we have to have.
Thank you. So I'd like to, this is where I think I'd like to interject with your permission, a discussion about an advisory committee to look at the climate tolerance in the district and make recommendations for how we should move forward.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Can I just ask one question?
I'm sorry, we don't generally do that if it's a short question and
It's a very short question.
Sure.
Why is the Powder Puff game still going to occur Friday evening?
I'm sorry, we'll not be discussing that right now, thank you. So the point is...
Excuse me, if I come tomorrow evening, will you discuss it then?
Ma'am, tomorrow evening is the school building committee. And
So then, how can I get my question answered?
So you can submit it in writing and we'll consider responding to through the...
You'll consider responding,
We
or you
probably
will respond?
I'm sure someone will respond. I don't know who, but someone will respond.
And they'll respond before Friday evening?
We'll do our best. And now we'll continue with our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And so this would be an advisory committee. What I'd like to recommend is that we put together a committee of 2 members of the school committee. I'd like to request a member of the Board of Selectmen to join us. And I'd like some thoughts on what sort of community participation I would recommend that we include a student from the high school. And at least a couple of community members.
So what exactly in your vision of this is the charge of the advisory committee?
So I'd like them to assess the cultural climate and the tolerance and diversity status in our district and recommend changes and improvements to our program moving forward. So how can we improve tolerance, respect, and diversity in our district? Since I think no one could argue that we have some challenges that we're facing right now. And I think we need to do this as a community. I don't think we should just rely on our administrators to do this. I think we should have community input. And this is the vehicle, these are the sorts of vehicles we have available to us. You guys have any thoughts?
Well, first of all, I agree that it should be inclusive of the community, and I think it should also include school administrators as well.
So I think Mrs. Combs is going to put together a parallel committee.
Okay.
Though probably you should be on that. So Mrs. Combs will serve on it. So there will be an internal, for sure, the district administration will be looking at how to move forward.
Okay.
In parallel with this community group.
Okay.
And Mrs. Combs, this will be appropriate liaison between the two.
I agree that this is, again, should be a community issue. I think clearly this is necessary that we reevaluate and check the climate. As a member of the Wellness Advisory Committee, we have had many discussions within that group that are related to this. And so I know there are individuals who will step up and take part in that. There's actually a few students who have participated in that. obviously we should put it out to everybody, but there's been one in that committee in particular who has done a lot of work with anti-bullying and tolerance and has worked with our extended day program, and I think maybe we should ask her.
So I presume that means you would support.
Absolutely.
And I'm just thinking out loud about, community participation. I'm thinking about, a community at large member, meaning someone that doesn't necessarily have a direct connection to the school through a son or a daughter or other. But then again, also parents. So I'm seeing those as two particular groups that should be included.
So what would we recommend? 2 school committee, 1 board of selectmen, 1 committee member?
I think more than one community member.
2 committee members?
I say that because I know it's difficult always to have everyone present, and I think, we want to do our best to make sure we have that community perspective, at every meeting.
How about if we do 2 school committee members, 1 board of selectmen, 2 community members, and 2 parents? This is getting kind of unwieldy. 7 is probably about as large as it makes sense.
I think that's about right.
But there's no student involvement in this.
Oh, okay.
So how would you recommend we?
1 community at large, 2 parents?
Does that make sense to you guys?
And so I do think we need a student.
I do as well.
And I know you can't have committees that are hundreds of people
No,
because they don't
only
function.
if you want to get things done. So we could have a student and an alternate, that might work.
Yep.
Can we have a community member and an alternate?
I don't see why not.
I know people's work schedules and travel schedules make it difficult, so I just would like to make sure we do our best to have all perspectives, as often as possible.
One student, one student.
Right, so I
Is
have
that
2 school
is that
committee,
fair?
1 board of selectmen, assuming the board of selectmen would entertain such a thing. 1 community member plus an alternate, 2 parents, and 1 student plus an alternate.
We'll invite the board of selectmen.
So that would be 7. To make it rational. Does anyone want to make a motion to constitute such an advisory committee?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on it?
At some point, I think we'll need to define some kind of a time frame and deliverables, but I think just constituting it for starters is the first move.
Right, we can do that at our next meeting when we've had a chance to think about this a little bit.
Yep.
I think it's important to start because we need to move forward.
Yep.
Expeditiously.
I agree.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, the next thing on our agenda tonight, well, actually, why don't we appoint some members for that? We're going to do some appointing right now. So we have to reassign, I'd like to reassign the subcommittee for policy because I think it's been difficult to get together, and I'm sure we need to look at some of our policies right now. As well as Paxal, and we might as well appoint 2 members to the new advisory committee. So, fortunately, my wife's not here, so I'll volunteer to do the policy committee if we can do that. Todd, are you still interested in doing that?
Yeah.
Is that something you can do in the evening?
What we were doing was we had for our regular scheduled meetings.
Okay, that can work for me. Okay. All right, and the Paxal member, that's a daytime meeting, and that's for sure one that I can't cover. Okay. And then I'd like to be on the new advisory subcommittee, unless you guys disagree. Anyone else who'd like to participate?
I would.
Anybody? Jennifer?
I have have six other committees.
That's why I'm trying to be
I'm,
thoughtful.
So thank you, I appreciate that. As much as I would like to take part in that, I'm a little over committee.
Okay, so we have a motion to appoint Mike and I to the advisory subcommittee, me to the policy committee, and Colin to PACSA.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We have no old business unless I'm missing something. Okay, reports. I haven't been to finance committee. Is there a school council report from anyone?
We haven't had one since.
Okay, PTO?
I don't think there's anything since the last report. They
Okay.
haven't had.
Policy hasn't met, I assume. Capital planning?
Capital planning met today. We're working on prioritizing the capital plan. So we can present this to the town.
Okay. Wellness advisory?
Has not met since we last reported.
Okay, PACSA?
I will go next time, whenever that is.
And the building reuse committee?
A number of things. We are trying to go for the Board of Selectmen on December 3rd with the final recommendations. As you're aware, two items on the list are the TCP and Brooks House, both of which are under our jurisdiction. So the recommendations are based on us deciding their surplus, and then it goes back to the Board of Selectmen. So there would be just recommendations should that happen. A couple things of note that you should be aware of. One of the members took a tour behind TCP to determine that area is right now defined as wetlands, and the Conservation Commission doesn't think it is. That's important for you to know, because if you're trying to find like extra parking, it may be something that you should consider. Yes. Yes. The second thing that would need to be considered, is what we would do if we don't relinquish control. What is the plan, and our report is going to include what would happen if we do nothing. I mean, if it doesn't, how much present day cost is, and how much it costs to repair. So those numbers, I would suggest that when you finally get to your final proposal or final presentation, you can kind of steal those to put in yours of what it costs now to continue as is, TCP members. That makes sense?
Yeah, it'd be worth looking at. I think they've already got some numbers from the architect, so might want to make sure you guys are all using the same.
We got ours from John.
Okay, then they probably can't do the same. Okay. Do you mind disclosing them to make sure that everybody's got the same numbers? So we can have some, yeah, that would be worthwhile.
That's December 3rd.
December 3rd. It was originally the 10th. It was trying to move it up.
Okay, so I'm not.
And then second, last thing to consider, two more things. If the Brooks House does become surplus, where is the superintendent to go? Is there any place in the borough for the superintendent to her offices? So that may be something to consider.
We could be the first group closet that is retrofit.
And then, will there be PAC coverage in the school?
Will there be what coverage?
PAC,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
Will they be able to?
Right. Is there going to be public access for meetings and such? I guess their committee, the assumption is that yes, so that you have these kinds of meetings there.
It's actually a lot easier, I think.
Just want to confirm that that's actually going to be.
So the auditorium or some public spaces may be accessible?
Right. Oh, close.
I wonder if there's any cell phones.
Not for you, I have no
I know, it's my problem.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thanks, Tom.
Any items for future discussion? Do we need an executive session tonight? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead. What we do? Okay. So we will be meeting an executive session set pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 23B, Paragraph 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. Who are we talking about? With respect to the paraprofessionals union, we will not be returning to open session. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Roll call.
Thank you all for coming.